1 million acres have burned in California already this year, including 1,000 homes. Now, worst of all, the fires have killed 12 people, including 4 firefighters. This is a tragedy, and yet it is also not unusual for summertime in California. The state averages about 8,000 wildfires per year. The media coverage of the California wildfires over the last 2 summers make it seem like there are more wildfires than ever before. This goes to my solution. If you feel like the world is on fire, let's first look for the facts. The constant refrain we hear now is that global warming is causing a wildfire epidemic.
Long before the devastation in California, scientists had built a strong case linking a changing climate to more wildfires.
Oh, my gosh.
A lot more.
Fanning the flames, scientists increasingly point to climate change.
Climate change.
Emissions from cars, planes, and power plants making our world warmer.
You take epic drought, you combine it with high temperatures, you've got all the ingredients for unprecedented wildfires.
With global temperatures continuing to rise year on year, the warning from some climate experts is that this is the terrifying new normal.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. So global warming, because the temperatures are getting hotter and hotter. Is global warming causing more wildfires than ever to break out? Let's fact check these. And is it the biggest reason that wildfires seem to be bigger and more damaging than ever? No. Certainly not as a factor by itself. At best, global warming as a current cause of wildfires is a maybe at best. We only include it there because I think it's naive to dismiss it outright as a possible factor. But it is not the factor. The panic global warming headlines almost give the impression that it is so hot in California that trees just spontaneously burst into flames. But that's not what sparks 8,000 wildfires every year in California. For the most part, people do. Now, we often think of lightning strikes in wilderness areas igniting large wildfires. But of the 17 major fires in California that were burning just a couple of weeks ago, not a single one was caused by a lightning strike. The second largest fire this summer, still burning in Northern California, was started when a trailer being pulled by a pickup truck had a flat tire. The rim scraped the road and sparks ignited the dry weeds on the side of the California road. Most California wildfires are started by accidents like that. Downed power lines or cigarettes, sparks from equipment, etc., etc. Also, arson is an occasional factor as well. John Keeley, a research scientist with the U.S. Geological Survey, studied the wildfire patterns in California and found that from 1910 to the present, humans caused 95% of the wildfires. Lightning strikes caused the remaining 5%, mostly in the rural northeastern corner of the state. In 1980, California had 24 million people. Today, it has almost 40 million. If that is the cause, we should have doubled the amount of wildfires, right? Houses and subdivisions are increasingly built on the fringes of towns and cities bordering on wilderness areas. A study published this year found that the number of homes potentially in the path of wildfires in the western U.S. has increased 1,000% in the last 50 years. About 1/3 of Californians now live in what scientists call the wildland-urban interface. Here's John Keeley. Watch.
One of the big problems is that we live in a landscape where the vegetation is extremely fire prone. In fact, it's probably the worst fire climate of any place in the world.
Any place in the world. Now, California's temperate climate and dry weather make it extremely flammable regardless of global warming. It's the worst in the world. California is the driest state in the U.S. during all summer months. That, combined with being the most populous state in the country, makes California one giant tinderbox with a constantly exposed fuse. But global warming is creating a lot more wildfires, not just in California, but across the U.S. and the world, right? Well, let's look at the numbers. The National Interagency Fire Center tracks U.S. fire data. Year to date, January 1st through August 20th, the U.S. is currently 3,900 fires below the 10-year average. Again, year to date. So far this year, the U.S. is also 1,300 fires behind last year's pace, with 500,000 less acres burned than at this point in 2017. It is also currently lower in both total number of fires and total acres burned than it was at this point in 2015, 2012, and 2011. When you look at the total numbers of fires in the U.S. and the total number of acres burned, it completely fluctuates from year to year. There is no steep incline or incline recognizable at all in total fires. In California, only once in the last 16 years has the number of fires in a single year increased 2 years in a row. That was 2006 and 7. And only once has the number of fires in a single year decreased 2 years in a row, 2004 to 2005. Year over year, the typical pattern sees a rise and a fall in the number of fires, and the number of acres burned wildly fluctuates as well. But here's where it gets really interesting. Worldwide, the number of fires and acres burned roughly stayed the same level from 1900 to 1940. But then look, since the 1950s through today, we have seen a steady decline. The numbers simply don't add up to conclude that global warming is making more fires. This bar smaller than that bar. California wildfires are tragic, but they are not natural disasters sparked by global warming.